Hello and welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers.com podcast. My name's Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Jody McNamer from Seattle, Washington, who has a really great mission that they are focused on. Jody shared the story of his son, Tyler, who is autistic and has gone from, being a autistic child to now being 24 years old and speaking to thousands of people and having written a book about autism and acting in support and helping parents of autistic children with support and encouragement. And it's really a pretty neat mission that they have. So we had a great conversation about the context of thinking about what they're able to do for people from a during unit standpoint to identify the outcomes that they could help create for people and build their business around being able to facilitate those things. So I think you'll enjoy this conversation. It's a little bit different than what we normally have, but you'll see immediately how the 8 Profit Activators apply to really every situation. So enjoy. Jody McNamer.
Dean Jackson, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
So where in the world is Jody McNamer today?
The lovely Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably a little chillier than my Winter Haven, Florida right now.
Without a doubt. I'm a bit jealous. The weather down there. Here, it's a balmy 34. So, we got a little ways to go before Florida, no doubt.
Well, I am excited to spend some time with you today. I always love having these conversations, and I'm anxious to hear what we can focus on with you. What you're up to.
You're definitely the master of that. So, Dean, thank you for taking some time. I really do. A huge amount of respect for what you've done over the years and continue to do. So just thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So tell me the whole story here. Let's see what you're up to.
Yeah, well, I will give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, and I'll expand on anything you want me to. So I think, first of all, I'm a husband and I'm a father of 2 amazing sons, one of which has autism. Okay. And so he was nonverbal when he was up until about 6 years old. He started to form sentences at about age 12, and now he is 24, and he happens to be an international best-selling author and speaker on the topic of autism.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's funny because as a dad, if you would have said, hey, your 12-year-old is going to grow up and have a literally top-selling book on Amazon and a company now called Autism Works. Not that you wouldn't think that your children could do whatever they want, but I mean, there's just some significant, issues there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But he came to me in his sophomore year of high school and said, "Yeah, Dad, I wrote this book," and I'm thinking, "Oh man, that's great," but I knew nothing about the publishing business at all. And finally, then in the senior year of high school, he was ready to release it. And so I went and found a publishing coach, somebody that knew something about it, and learned the hard way about making a book and all of that. And ultimately, we put it out there. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a huge success. It's going to be amazing. And it completely failed. Book publishers wouldn't take it. I have rejection letter after rejection letter. And so we decided to start marketing it ourselves.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
We started putting it out on Facebook, and, people seem to resonate with folks. And so I think he's just up over about 40,000 books sold.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. which is pretty cool. So then Autism Works was formed, and we started producing products. And this is the challenge I need your help with is, man, we're really great at generating leads, and we're really great at putting stuff out there that people really love, but we're
Mm-hmm.
really, really bad at getting them either converted from buying a book, a physical product, into an electronic product, or, giving them this really cool free, bribe. And it's not really a bribe, but it's a cool piece of content. But
Mm-hmm.
having them be able to say, hey, I'm willing to spend $20 on a digital product, and then ultimately a couple $100 on the digital product, and hopefully more from there. Man,
Mm-hmm.
we're just really bad at
Mm.
that. So I don't know if that gives you what you need, Dean,
Yeah,
but
I get so.
I'm happy on expanding anything you need.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, congratulations, because that's an amazing accomplishment
Pretty cool.
on its
Yeah,
own. I
he's
mean,
an amazing,
yeah,
amazing young man.
selling 40,000 copies of anything is, you think
That's
about.
right.
I mean, it's really, I put things in perspective for people with, they talk about their subscribers, or they talk, they say, well, I've only got a couple of thousand subscribers, and uh, when you look at that, and then when I put that in perspective of that is essentially the size of a mega church. If you look at something like that you have the ability each week to deliver a message to a mega church size audience. And
mm.
you think 40,000 people is an NFL stadium full of
Yeah,
people,
interesting. Yeah,
right?
right.
When you visually put it in perspective of
Mm.
what that is. Now, the question, of course, is, of the 40,000 people, how many were they sold on Amazon, or how many of those people do you have contact information for?
Yeah, so we use Infusionsoft as our
Yeah.
backbone, and currently his database is just over 27,000 people.
Okay. And that's great. And what's the title of the book that they are opted in for? Or
Yeah, so it's called Population One:
Mhm.
Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed.
Okay.
And so I'd have to pull it up here real quick, but typically
Mhm.
it's always in the, 1 to 5, depending on the day. And it's been that way for the last several years on Amazon. So
Mhm.
yeah, kind of cool.
So, when I look at the whole um, situation, what I'm
Hmm.
always looking for is, I'm overlaying the 8 profit activators on the business side of it. And everything there starts with people often think, well, we're going to start with the before unit, start with the
Yeah.
ad. But the reality is that it starts with the during unit. It starts with, what is it that we're actually exchanging
Hmm.
with the person? What is the before we do the marketing, we have to do the market element of it. Is
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
what is the market exchange that we're doing in terms of the value that somebody is being delivered for money. And
Yeah.
so that can come, in the form of their buying a book, um, or a digital product, or whatever it is that you're doing. But what we want to look at is, what is that actually solving for people, or what is the real exchange that they're getting? They're trading the money for the physical mechanism of a book or a download.
Hmm.
But the information, the transformation, is what they're actually paying for, right? What they're
Yeah.
thinking that this is going to do for them. So,
Hmm.
how would you define, what that is? Is what's the result that people are getting?
Yeah, I believe it's two things, Dean. I think number one, it's hope. So if you put yourself in a position, so we have two main categories, which, by the way, I believe that of that 27,000 people,
Mhm.
almost 70, if not close to 80%, are grandparents. I
Okay.
think there's a reason for that because
Uh-huh.
maybe this younger generation doesn't really read a physical book.
Uh-huh.
And we have quite a few that come down on Kindle, but we don't have access to those folks, of course, in
Right.
our database. But what they're buying with that book is hope that they're going to read something that they can relate to their situation that
Yeah.
will be some type of key that will unlock either a better relationship with their child or allow their child to start speaking or make their child a little bit more socially um, less awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the number one thing, and then I think the number two thing it would be, and this also then is a challenge, is that our parents are so exhausted. I mean, they're just exhausted of taking
Mm-hmm.
care of a child that has unique abilities. So I think they're also looking for, what would be the easy, simple thing to do, like some kind of magic pill, right?
Mm-hmm.
That because they're exhausted. Like, no one's going to come and say, "Hey, I want to pay $200 so I can do more work." Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're interested in what is that? What's that secret sauce? What's that special pill? What caused Tyler, to be able to now speak in front of tens of thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
and coming from nonverbal six. I don't know if that explains it well, but that's the best I can put my arms around it, I
I
think.
got it. So if you were to, and this is um, part of the benefit here that you're able to identify, maybe in a way that they would immediately see that this is something that I want. A couple of the things that you mentioned, um, verbalizing or, if you were to go down a list of the things that you could help people with, like this is kind of
Mm-hmm.
a ongoing theme that I have of if I'm starting with the during unit of
Mm-hmm.
um, what is it that you can do? What I often say to people is, what's the best result, the best outcome that you could get for somebody,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what it costs or how long it takes or what you do to do it to get the result? What are you physically um, and knowledgeably capable of creating for somebody? Like, what are the outcomes that if they would just let you do it, you could help them um,
Mm-hmm.
get that outcome?
Yeah, so I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. And so
Uh-huh.
for us, we can provide them the framework that we provided for Tyler, that
Uh-huh.
Tyler then chose to work through, right?
Uh-huh.
So we call it, so like in school, it's called an IEP, so an individualized education plan. So one of our products is we show Tyler's entire plan from when he was in preschool through his third year of the adult living program. So it's about
Okay.
18 years. And so while that's not a formula for success, it is
Uh-huh.
the ability to pull some of the best practices or components
Yep.
into their child's IEP,
Mm-hmm.
that may or may not create that success. And I have to be really careful about, because every child with autism, if you met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism.
Right.
So, so it's not like, we can guarantee that transformation, but what we can do is we can definitely guarantee they're going to have a better shot at
Yes.
transformation,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I think that would be one big thing. And then, we have another program that's called Girls on the Spectrum, which is extraordinary because, girls on the spectrum are often misdiagnosed with other issues. Um, and it really is about having them understand they're unique. And so their unique challenges, but also their unique opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be another thing that we could deliver, would really be a self-confidence, which many of our children lack, and many of our parents lack,
Right.
is confidence, because it's such an isolating thing. Other people are looking at you in the restaurants. It breaks your confidence down. Doctors are telling you, teachers are telling you, and at the end of the day, you're just kind of confused. So that would
Yes.
be those would be the main things. And I think the last one is just because Tyler is now able to verbalize what it's like to have autism,
Mm-hmm.
there is extraordinary insight, and he has about 80 hours of programming now that just simply shares life of someone that has autism in a lot of different subject areas. So those would be the main things we could provide.
Okay. And excuse me, how do you currently provide those things? Is there any level of like coaching or hand holding, or kind of a group facilitation of a curriculum or a program, or working through something, or is it just the downloads of the information or access to things?
Yeah, so currently it's just access to information. We've thought about, but just logistically, how to handle it, or maybe create a group coaching program or an event, which I love that idea. It's just we're not there yet, and maybe that's I'm really interested in your opinions on that.
Well, what does Tyler want to do? Because a lot of this has to go. I mean, really, that's the thing, right? This is kind of, I know you're being as supportive as you can, and what your role and what Tyler's role in this is. What's his vision for this?
That's so Tyler's vision for Autism Works is to be the largest autism-related content provider in the world. I mean, that's his whole thing. But if Tyler could have the one thing that he could do for the rest of his life, and he would be, the happiest, would be if he could be on stage every day. That's what he would do. So like he's speaking to a group of about 1,000 people on Monday, then flies to Montana. So he loves that. That for him.
Does he like the context of? I just want to get a sense of his capabilities, or his unique abilities in being able to be in a zone that's like the win for him. Is his thing, his preference to be on stage delivering a kind of prepared presentation that he likes to do, or does he like to, or could he do smaller events where he's more engaged and tailoring something, where he's answering people's questions or working?
Another great question, Dean. So Tyler, the way that he speaks is he creates the outline. He's got a really good idea of what he's going to do, but then he delivers it extemporaneously. And so it's really kind of cool because, he does kind of get a feel for the audience. But in presenting smaller groups, like even question and answer sessions, typically having a facilitator there, myself, or he does have staff members now that we call them kind of handlers, right? That will go and they'll restate the question in a way that they know Tyler's going to really be able to answer it, because oftentimes people will frame a question, he'll hear it differently based on his context, provide the answer, but the answer is completely off topic.
Right, I got it. Yeah, no, he answered the question he heard. Yeah, I got
it. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so that, I think I get a sense of that it's not like, is in a controlled environment is really the kind of thing that would be the best for him. Okay.
Yep.
And what's your role in all of this? I mean, are you, what's your interest level in the involvement in it, or what your,
Yeah,
yeah.
great question again too. So my background has, I spent, a decade in the media and entertainment business, specifically large scale. Back then it was CDs and DVDs. Now that's why I'm no longer in the media and entertainment business.
Mm,
And then I moved from that into real estate, and was an investor, still am to this day,
mm,
owned a brokerage and, all those things. And so when I got involved in building Autism Works, I was kind of at this place where I had a real estate coaching practice. I still have a real estate advertising agency. And now I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do when I grow up? And
mm-hmm,
I've never really done anything that I'm like, man, you know what? I love working with parents. I love helping them. I love
mm-hmm.
going out with Tyler and meeting those families. So much so that I also think it's a problem that I want to also make money doing that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
there's been this separation, and I'm going to actually answer your question now, Dean, which is, listen, I would love for Autism Works to completely provide for me, my family, the causes I'm passionate about,
Yeah.
replace all the income I have with everything else, and then I would be doing everything that I love.
Okay.
That's what it would
Perfect.
be.
Awesome. So there's what I guess that I look at is, right now, it seems like from what I've heard you sharing about the way that it works is that Tyler's acting really as an inspiration, as that people get to see and hear and get hope from listening to his message, that maybe this could be the same thing for my child. And
Mm-hmm.
so they get that sense of hope. And then the next level, so say, of that people can do is they have the chance to um, buy some tools. Let me give you some
Mm-hmm.
of the tools that we have, but not, from what I'm hearing, any sort of guidance or coaching or counseling or implementation resources
Correct.
that are
Yeah,
available
correct.
for them. Okay.
Right.
And so part of the thing is to figure out, I guess, at what level do you think that you could have an impact on people? Like, if it, rather than thinking about all the people, all the parents of autistic children, um,
Mm-hmm.
that, trying to, rather than as a market, is what could you do if there were one family that was important to you and they are in this situation? um, what would be the best outcome that you kind of know how to personally facilitate for them?
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing I would do is I would sit down, I'd talk to the family, I'd understand the background. Secondly, I would determine what testing has been done, what
Yes.
currently is in place for their IEP. I'd collect all of that data, and then we'd have a discussion about what resources are available, either in their
Yes.
community or in their school.
Hmm.
And then we would start making a decision, put together a roadmap,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
then ultimately we'd implement that, with the school, and then it would be a series of check-ins.
Yes.
Hey, how's it going this month? Okay, what needs to modify? And ultimately, that would be, we'd call it like an Autism for Life program, right? I mean, that
Hmm.
would potentially run 18 years, or whatever
Yes.
that may be. That I think would have the greatest benefit. And then an alternate one, quite frankly, would be a bit of a cheerleader, right? Hey, when the chips
Uh-huh.
are down, hey, just realize that he's one foot in front of the other. That would be probably the secondary um,
Uh-huh.
part that I could play.
Mm-hmm.
While I may not understand your situation, I don't know exactly how you feel. I do know what it's like to have a child with disability that eats nails and staples and
Mm-hmm.
screams and runs out of the room and in
Right.
front of traffic. I get that. Been there.
Yes.
So, yep.
And do
That's
you, so you start to think about that because what can become overwhelming is the thought of doing those things at scale, where you start to think, you
right.
start to sort of temper your vision through the logistics goggles of what you think you can actually uh, do, and rather than thinking about the one off outcome that you could
That's
create for
interesting.
somebody. And, because right now you don't have a mechanism in place or a way that's in place to actually offer that level of support
Hmm.
to somebody, right? Which is what they really need and would
Yeah.
love to have. And I'm not sure what other resources are available in the autism world there, but it sounds like you've got a unique perspective on it that may be different than what's offered.
Yeah, there's really nothing out there that is
Right.
available, and I agree. And you're totally right. You are totally on point, Dean. It's this like this is the conundrum, right?
Uh-huh.
This is exactly what they need,
Yeah.
but in order for me to make that transition, I also need that to scale
Yes.
immediately, right?
Yeah.
So it's the chicken and the egg thing. So
Yes.
how do you deal with that?
Well, part of the thing is that um, you take a number of approaches to it. One that's really clear is the um, getting clear on what you could do if you were to take one family kind of under
Yeah.
your wing there, or and create, because it's really, even though you said that if you meet one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. It's
Hmm.
not that's not everybody, but there's also contextually some similarity, right? The needs are
Hmm.
the same. So
Hmm.
you've got that the framework is going to apply, but the subtleties might be different, right? Of
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
of what actually comes. But the framework, if you take kind of on a macro level, it would be
Hmm.
around communication and around, and I don't know what other macro sort of contexts it would
Yeah.
be, but that would certainly be one. If you were to take vignettes of a day in the life, or a week or a month or a year in the life of the parents of an autistic child, that is going to um, have a lot of similarities among all of those
Yeah.
parents, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Right. And so, but the micro ways that those things manifest themselves is going to be very different.
Yeah. And it's probably 97%, right? I mean,
Yeah.
97% is going to be the same.
Yep.
3% is different, but the
I get
3%
it.
really matters. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not unlike, I saw well, I actually met Craig Venter, the guy who did
Hmm.
the genome, but the
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
the reality of that is that of the 5 billion characters in our genetic code, is only 5 million of them are um, make us us.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
rest are standard issue human. Everybody shares the same thing. So you look at that, and it's like the same thing. Many of the same things are there. So part of what your when you start to look at it is, what would it look like to take one ideal candidate and do that for them,
Mm-hmm.
but and document everything that you're doing, that becomes kind of content um, as well, right? That could become the way that you are communicating with, sharing your vision, or the way that
Yeah.
you do things, in a way of gathering the audience of people to do that. Now, you may be able to facilitate a weekend workshop or a
Yeah.
something that would be um, valuable in itself, as a interim step of something. If you did a 3-day weekend or a 2-day weekend where you could, where people could come and, um, and learn and have that kind of a discussion in a small group, or whatever the right size would be.
Yeah. Would
But
love that. Yeah.
that you could share that kind of thing. Is that something that that would fit for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I would love to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, right, that just provides so much value and so much satisfaction to do
Right.
that. And
Yes.
without a doubt, I would love doing that.
Yes. Okay. So that maybe is the kind of thing that would be a good first step.
Yeah.
Now, you
Yep.
may have, with all of the people who are on there, most of the people are parents or grandparents. That you, how often do you communicate with the people that you have in your Infusionsoft list?
Well, I mean, we do really good when they first buy the book, right?
Right.
So we have them on a drip for a couple of weeks. Hey, here's our Facebook. Hey, here's our YouTube. Hey, here's our, hey, we're, just value, value, value. We don't really
Yeah.
ask them to do anything else. And then
Right.
after that, we may put them on a campaign that we kind of cobbled together. And
Right.
then that's about it. So it's really, I mean, it's spotty, man. It's really
Mm-hmm.
spotty.
So I think part of what would be really valuable for you is to have a rhythm of a weekly email that goes out every single week, that is valuable content or inspiration or all of the kinds of things that would be helpful,
Mm-hmm.
and that rhythm, that doing that at least kind of once a week, gives you then the baseline for a relationship, that they know who you are and they like you because you are giving them valuable information. And over time, they start to trust, and you're demonstrating that you're here for the long run, kind of thing, right? Like you're the thing. And let's face it, the people that are in this world, it's not an acute onset thing. It's
Yeah, right.
right, that they're going to go
Yeah.
through and then they're going to lose interest in the topic, or
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
people are in this for the long term. And so every piece of valuable insight and help that you can provide is going to be valuable. Is there anybody who is building what would be uh, the leading kind of support community for the in the autism community?
No, you know what's interesting is so there are politically based organizations, right,
Yeah.
that are lobbying for change, lobbying for, and there's two kind of groups. One that is, hey, let's find a cure. The other one is, hey, we're just different, accept us for who we are. So there's a little bit
Right.
of a polarization. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's the large autism associations that are trying to say, hey, let's put together some kind of, support. But
Mm-hmm.
there's no one that really is out there saying, hey, here's kind of a lifelong management system, or here's some tools. I don't know if that exactly answered your question, Dean, because I'm
No, I think
just
that what
lost
I'm
in the
no,
polarization.
that's kind of what I was asking, is who is the, what, when one of the other questions that we ask about your during unit is, and selecting your target audience, is who do you want to be a hero to, right? And so is
Yeah.
anybody out there with the intention of being a hero to the parents of autistic children?
Mm-hmm.
And that, that alone, that kind of mindset, if you're thinking about that, regardless of um, the individual, like, commercial viability of it, is
Mm-hmm.
the intention of that. This is the purpose is to support and encourage um, the parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And give
Yep.
them the support and tools that they need to take kind of a proactive approach to things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than
Yeah.
just kind of resign themselves to that they're different. Um, and so a lot of that is, when you start to look at what are the things, if you just take the view of one family with an autistic child, what are all of the things uh, that go into that, and
Mm-hmm.
if you
Yeah.
look at what are the things that, if you look at, you said something uh, about verbalizing, or about uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
talking, and
Yep.
are there specialists and protocols and methods or ways of making that a possibility for someone, or guiding towards that, or improving their chances of that, or
Mm-hmm.
um, things that parents can do to uh, increase the chances that that's going to happen?
Absolutely. So, I mean,
Okay.
so the three main areas really are speech, social
Yes.
skills, and
Yes.
sensitivity to stimulus. And so, all there are things that can be done in all those three main areas
Yes.
to help a child with autism.
That's perfect. So that's what I was looking for, is the contexts of what that is. And just like you said, that the macro of speech is going to be a line, or a uh, gradient, from
Mm-hmm.
completely non that's not a possibility, all the way up to the level that Tyler's reached, right, where he
Yeah.
can get up
Right.
and speak to 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's that would be a dream come true for
Yeah.
the
It really is. Yeah.
for parents, right? And so if there's a way that you can clearly articulate what the outcome could be, or what the outcome that they're seeking, that's the way to start that dialogue. There's I always point to, there's examples of, on Amazon right now, there's an author who writes books about photography, and they're very descriptive about um, what the outcome that you're trying to uh, accomplish, right? The author has a book called "Read This If You Want to Take Great Photographs."
That's awesome, dude.
And then he's got another
Yeah.
book called "Read This If You Want to Take Great Photographs of People."
That's brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another book called "Read
uh,
This If You Want to Take Great Photographs of Places." And it's so, like, for a photography book, there's not a picture on the cover. All it is the big words with a plain colored cover.
hmm.
So all you see on the book is "Read this if you want to take great photographs of places." And that really is specifically attractive to people, that's what they really want to do. And
Yeah.
so if you're thinking about that idea of how can you get title or some indication that this is what the outcome that you're proposing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at for speech, what there might be some specific words that would be
Mm-hmm.
most appealing to that, And so the model, which one of those would you be able to have the most impact with, like in terms of you would have the highest confidence level in producing a transformation for someone if you were to say speech or social or the sensitivities? Which one would you be able to have a immediately kind of transformative
Yeah, I think
impact?
definitely. I think definitely in the social skills and sensitivity area. Speech
Okay.
is such a complex area, right? But
Yeah.
in social skills and which also then is related to confidence. So yeah,
And
those would be the areas.
they build on each other, right? That one
Exactly. That's
would start with
exactly
the
right.
other. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
You
is
don't need to
there,
talk if you don't have anybody to talk to, right?
yeah,
So you need social skills.
right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is one of the things that is, that you could look for, is there a, and I use this word that I talk about them as a magic trick. Like I look at that to people, they see something and it's just like amazing what happens. Like, so for in my world, one of the things that I often lead with to teach people is the 9-word email. That
Mm-hmm.
in
Yep.
anybody's business, we can deploy a 9-word email and it seems like a magic trick that out of nowhere we're pulling new business and new engagement from people who have been um, um, dormant or dead
Mm-hmm.
leads kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yep.
right? And so they're always amazed with that and encouraged to now that they've got people engaged in a dialogue, now they're interested in hearing about, well, what do I say now that they're responding? Where do I go from there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's just the beginning. It opens up the whole possibility there. So
Right.
I don't know about autism, but is there anything that would be like a fast acting social engagement, process that you could do, or something about sensitivities, or something that could, with a high probability of success in a quick period of time, produce a result that would be encouraging to the parents, that would just be like a relief and give them a sense of hope,
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So Tyler actually teaches a breathing technique, and then
Uh-huh.
there also is a specific fidget, to do something with their hands that helps them with their stimulus. So
Okay.
those would be two areas.
Okay. And maybe that, is an interesting place to start to, teach that in a way that gets the attention of the person, the parent, to at least kind of listen to what's going on, to see that, wow, that kind of worked, or that seemed like
Mm-hmm.
that was really helpful. What else who is this person? What
Yeah,
else do they
that
have
makes
to
sense.
say? Right? Because when you were talking about the book, um, the title of the book was not, it didn't seem to me that I knew what that was about, with
Right.
just, it wasn't the same as read this if you want to take great pictures of
Right.
places, right?
Right.
The
Right. Yep.
clearly overt thing. And that's going to be an important part of it,
Yeah,
is
I think
being
you're
able
spot on that.
to
Yeah.
clearly articulate. And so if you were to say, starting out with these things, if you even did just a series of um, workshops, even just telephone workshops, like webinars,
Mm-hmm.
um, and if you were to say, like, one of these sensitivity things. Can you share in 90 seconds or 2 minutes what one of the things that would be, just so I get a sense of what you're kind of talking about, what something that somebody could do?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
you want me to do that now, or you want me
Yeah.
to?
No, I want to, so
Okay.
we can use it as an example to build on.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a sensitivity perspective, one of the exercises that you can do, depending on how your child reacts to touch, there's really two different ways to do it. One, this whole the ability to hug your child, but not hug them in a way you kind of have to hug them so that it kind of becomes a entire kind of upper body experience. So like if you
Uh-huh.
hug from the side or if you hug with uneven pressure, that actually will trigger a meltdown. But if
Uh-huh.
you hug in a specific way, you're going to find that over time that will start to desensitize. So that would be one of the techniques that I could demonstrate.
Uh-huh.
Another one would be a breathing technique that Tyler uses by using his fingers. He will just move, like his pinky, then the second one, then the third one as he's breathing. And it really helped him. It's the combination of the breathing and that moving of the fingers.
Uh-huh.
It takes the concentration off the whatever's causing the potential meltdown, which is a
Yes.
big deal in autism, and
Uh-huh.
focuses it on breathing and on sensory.
Yes.
And then that basically prevents the meltdown. And so those are two techniques that not only desensitize, but are kind of like immediate go-tos when this
Yes.
is not going to be a good situation in about 10 seconds.
Yes.
So,
Oh, that's great. So that's crystal clear. And so what I would do in this kind of a situation like this is I would take one of the take that idea, this something that's going to diffuse a imminent meltdown, and
mm-hmm.
I would create what I call a word palette, where I
Huh.
would spend some amount of time, and I may spend 50 minutes on just thinking about the words that somebody would use to describe the events, the emotions, the feelings, the scenarios that these meltdowns happen in, just to get me in that mode of what is everybody afraid of? What are they really feeling? What are the emotions that come of this? Are they, are they frustrated? Are they embarrassed? Are they mortified? Are they, what level of are anxious? All of the words that would make up the emotional, palette of what's going
Mm-hmm.
on here, just as a painter would mix the paints in to represent the tone of the painting that they're about to paint, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
they're going to make
Yeah. Yeah.
a bright happy meadow, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
mix colors that are bright and happy. If they're going to
Sure.
paint a stormy sea, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
get dark, ominous colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
all of the combination of those emotional words will be able to draw from the idea of creating a sentence of just a statement of 8 or 10 words that are going to really get the attention in a positive way of the parent, the
Mm-hmm.
person who can implement this, so they know what's happening here. So that's why I say, like, an amazing 9-word email that revives dead
Mm-hmm.
leads, you know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that's
Yeah.
about, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a 10-second meltdown method that you know stops meltdowns or whatever, that kind of thing that somebody could say, I'm listening,
Mm-hmm.
tell me
Mm-hmm.
more about that. and then painting the scenario and showing people what to do, in a situation like that. And as a lead-in then to a which may be then a lead into a conversation about a workshop or a program or a book or whatever level you have of this for those specific things, that the sensitivity playbook, or whatever the things are, that it's around that. So if you can, it seems like the progression order would be probably the sensitivities are like the baseline things, that if you can get those under control, then they can move to the social things.
That's
and
exactly
then
right.
to the conversation things. So you see the kind of progress that we're making already in setting out the context of this, that if you give people a map of the territory that they can relate to in a way that maybe they haven't thought about how all the pieces fit together, because they're so caught up in the territory, right? They're so caught up in the meltdowns that they don't see the bigger context of all of it.
Yeah. Now you're spot on. You're absolutely right. Yep. And I mean, that's the trap I'm in, right? I'm going through, okay, well, I'm dealing with contact, or dealing with, okay, here's the trees, but I'm not looking at that forest.
Yes.
Yep.
That's exactly right. And so that is, I think, a wonderful opportunity there to take the big picture of all of this, that to know that the vastness of the community is how many people does this affect in the United States or globally, or how do you see it?
Yeah, so currently in the U.S. is 2.4 million children.
Okay.
So, and then globally, I don't have that figure of what that is, because we've primarily just been concentrating on the U.S. market.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's the scope.
Yeah, and so you start to think about that, 2 million, and the reality is that taking this scope of, even though it's something that can help 2.4 million people potentially, you've only scratched the surface, right? With even the 40,000 is just a dent in that, right?
Yeah, not even a rounding error. Yep.
Right. And so then you start to think, well, what if we just kind of narrowed our focus to Seattle initially, right? To say, right, that this is where you can have the biggest impact, sort of thing.
Which then allows, to do a weekend workshop,
that's
or
what I
whatever
mean.
that may be, right? And then
Yes.
that provides a platform to say,
Yes.
oh, hey, okay, we learned some stuff here. Here's how we could duplicate that.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a because then you can really start to see, like, overall how much could you help the families, and you really get to see them, and you get to have that kind of thing. And it's almost like you make Seattle the shining light of what's going on in the autism world. And because that's the thing, I heard this really an interesting thing, the choice of, in the past, before the internet and before the ability to reach everybody from wherever you are, you had to be a torch bearer, right? Where you had to light the fire here in Seattle, and then you had to take the torch and go to Portland, and then you had to go down to make your way all over and kind of light the fire all individually. But now you get the chance to kind of stay in Seattle and be a lighthouse that you can, like, light that, and everybody can turn to Seattle and see the see the light from there, because you can broadcast, you can live stream, you can podcast, you can do all of that stuff all right there in your backyard and reach all of the audience. Yeah, but it starts with that's where you can have the biggest impact, is there as well, because that will allow you to experiment and start to see, well, what if you created things that you created and facilitated training programs for, um, teaching assistants
like a
for.
train the trainer program.
Yes, exactly. Where somebody could be a certified that you're kind of leading the way on it.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the difference between, if you're looking at something as, a potential market to enter to have something, or you're looking at something as your potentially life's work, is that market is that the group of people and the cause that you want to put yourself behind. Taking a 25-year time frame on this, or framework. Just think about the impact that you could have like that.
Yeah, it could be a massive. Well, I mean, it could ultimately fulfill that vision that Tyler has. So, yeah.
Which is amazing. There's a great book that.
Yeah, it is, no doubt. Yeah, he's an amazing young man, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's a book that I would recommend in terms of thinking about building this community too, called The Purpose-Driven Church, and by Rick Warren. He's the guy that we talked about mega churches actually earlier. He's the guy that started the Saddleback.
The
mega church in California.
Okay, yeah, yep.
And so it tells the whole story of the entire thing, like his vision of when he was in seminary, thinking that he didn't want to be a pastor that would move around every 3 or 4 years and get a different church of 200 to 400 people. He wanted to go somewhere once and grow something. He wanted to start a church and grow it for 25 years or more, and so choosing the right area, of Orange County being the area. So all the intentional stuff where he talks about how he was led to Southern California. And I just think there are so many lessons in the way that he went about this. If you even take out the fact that it's a church that he was building, but just think about that as building a community. That's really what is transferable. And starting with what you've got. I mean, they started the church in his living room. That was really the thing, with 15 people. And, just kept growing and growing and growing. And that's how he created a movement like that, and that's, I think, what you could really do is start that way. But all the while looking for, how can we identify a specific problem or challenge or opportunity and package the solution for that, or the the protocol for it, and document how, so other people can get that result. Like, if you think about that meltdown diffusing situation, that if right now it's sort of folklore, the way it's passed on right now. I don't know that whether you've documented or created a step-by-step, like,
no.
This is how you do that. So right now
Yep.
it's all told like by anecdotally. You're telling
That's
the
true. Yeah.
the story. So it's
Hmm.
about identifying those and documenting, and then documenting the outcomes that people are
Hmm.
having, right? As
Hmm.
case studies in a way, so that people
Hmm.
can identify crystal clearly, like instead of how to read this if you want to take great photographs of people, to say read this if your child has meltdowns from loud noises or
Hmm. Yep.
whatever triggers them, right? If you think about, if you take um the sensitivities, it's going to be to noise or touch or light or
And
dark
yep.
or
Yep.
right.
Hmm.
So you look at those things as the contexts of it, and then there are many you know
Hmm.
I think
No, that's
that's
yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think for me, that really those are the key takeaways, right? Which is
yeah,
one family, one. I think oftentimes I just
yeah,
get caught up in the globalness of it versus
right,
saying,
exactly,
I just pretty much talking to a person. I'm trying to figure out how to help them, so
yes,
provide a solution, and then be able to say, okay, well, hey, I kind of told you this anecdotally, but hey, here's a checklist, right? Here's a list
yes,
of things to do. Oh, and
yes,
by the way, other people have really found it, and here's their story. Maybe that will help you too.
that's
And
exactly
so,
right.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I can see how I haven't been doing that. So that can definitely create a breakthrough, no doubt.
Hmm. And it's almost like you have the chance to, even the way you document those things, to almost create, um, if you did a podcast or videos, you could almost create a reality show kind of
Oh, that's
element
interesting. Yeah,
about this,
right.
where you follow, a group of Seattle parents of autistic children that would be representative of the different levels on the spectrum, that
Uh-huh.
somebody might be able to relate to the shy quiet one, or the one that's loud and you know rambunctious, or that somebody would be able to find their child in that
Uh-huh.
sort of
Uh-huh.
those characteristics, and are really helping a lot of people that way.
Yeah, what a great idea too, because that is so relatable.
Yeah.
And you get to like one-off folks that are sharing their story, which is excellent. But it is just one person, whereas you could show the broad spectrum. But more importantly, not just the documentation of the day in the life, but it's, hey, here's how the day in the life is affected by things that really are meaningful, or here's the strategies, and here's
Yes.
what that looks like, or what the
Yes.
effects were of that. Yeah, that's
Yes.
cool.
And those are the kind of things that, man, there's probably I don't know whether your intention or the way that you have the business structured is as a for-profit business, or whether it's
Yeah.
a nonprofit or whatever it
Mhm.
is. I kind of think you probably have the biggest impact with a for-profit
Yeah,
business.
it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a for-profit enterprise. There's no doubt
Okay.
about it.
Yeah.
We could use more of the for-profit part, right?
Yeah.
But
We're all for it if we could just
no,
find it. Yeah.
exactly. We're for that profit, no
Right.
doubt about it. We are not opposed.
Oh, that's funny.
So, but no, that's you're absolutely right. That's good stuff.
So, tell me, how has everything that we've kind of talked about landed here? It went so quickly, but I'd love to hear kind
Yeah,
of the context of what you heard here.
yeah. So for me, I really think that your whole concept of we really have to look at this during in it, which is okay. What are we actually giving them, right? Let's just get into reality. And I think when I take a look at our products, we actually dance around that. Like we eventually answer it, but we don't do it in a way that really is systematic and clear. Uh,
Hmm.
like what the title for the photography book, right?
Yeah.
Which is just brilliant. Read this if you want to blank, right? And
Yes.
we've got a lot of one of the products called Questions About Autism, Answers at Work, but we don't ever say, well, hey, this is the exact question we're answering,
Yes. Right.
right? And so that's kind of an important distinction that for whatever reason I've missed until you have calls like this and go, oh wow, yeah, that's
Hmm.
exactly right. So by being specific, I think that's a big deal. Um, the other thing is being very, very clear about the outcome.
Hmm.
And that outcome really is about, okay, what's the number one thing that if I could solve this today for this family, that would have the greatest impact on them?
Right.
And then once I have that, then it's just a matter of, okay, how can we how can we just document that solution? And then
Yes.
once I've documented the solution, then it's a matter of saying, okay, here's how you implement step by step, and then here's how other people have implemented it.
Yep.
And then you just keep multiplying it, or you
Yep.
just keep sharing that
That's
with
it.
others.
Because now once it's out of your head and into digital form or documented, now
Mhm.
somebody else can learn how to do it and they can teach other people how to do it. But you've
Exactly.
identified the protocol, or together with experts, or together with, this is where you could act really as the lead investigator or the lead, where you go and seek out the people that are, helping solve the practical issues of
Mhm.
parenting a child with autism, or the challenges of being a family affected by this, and bring those to everybody. It's such a great, if you look at it from the 25-year framework, there's
Mhm.
so much impact that you could make like this.
Well, and that's really the way that you need to look at it, because I mean, if
Yep.
you look at all of the generation that we have coming, and that is quite frankly already here, like in
Yeah.
the case of Tyler, I mean, it really you can make a generational change in that.
Yeah.
And I think the other, real takeaway for me too is just really getting back to the simplicity of it. Your concept of the word palette is
Hmm.
excellent because
Hmm.
and because that's also the ability to visualize that,
Yeah.
and just say, hey, okay, we'll spend 50 minutes, just come up with all the words, and then you can kind of figure out how to put them together. But
Yeah.
at least the words give you the palette, hey, let's be happy, or this is the sad, or and it's not so much happy, sad, it's just the tone, right? It's the
Yeah.
how are they feeling, so that way you can really, speak to that. And then the other thing that I just really loved out of it is I think we do spend so much time thinking globally, thinking US, that, you know what, in the old days, that's exactly right. You basically had to set up your stage locally and invited some people, and then you're
Yeah.
like, wow, this worked pretty good. I'm going to go to Portland. And that is the way it was done. And I think that I've lost that focus thinking that, well, why would people travel to the West Coast? But when you look at it numbers wise, like I even just went back to my LinkedIn and just looked at Seattle. There's over 2,000 people that are just in kind of my network in Washington, and all of a sudden kind of like, well, like why didn't I do this a year ago? That
Hmm.
probably would have been a good idea. But that's
Hmm.
what occurred to me. In that I'm spending so much time, and you gave the analogy of the stadium, right? Okay, well,
Hmm.
man, I spend so much time thinking about the stadium that I don't ever think about the person sitting in seat 9D and what
Right.
they care about. And
That's
and
it.
that's what I need to be focusing on. So
Yes.
I think those are my major takeaways. From it. I mean, there's so much more, but
Yeah.
those would be the highlights, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation, Jody. It's such a, great, refreshing. Um, I think it's awesome what you're doing. I'm glad to have
Oh,
been able to have the conversation with you.
Well, Dean, I really, again, I genuinely appreciate your time. I mean, you've been an icon really in this industry, and again, just the work that you do with, Joe and Dan in the past, and I just, yeah, you really, I just appreciate you taking the time and lending your process to, what really is pretty unique, and
Hmm.
the way that you approached, I think, really speaks to just your process and how it can literally apply to every business. And so, because I think I think if there was ever a challenging call for you to apply your method to, this would be it. so, so well
This is
done. I
great.
just
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah, super cool.
Awesome. I
So thanks
appreciate it.
again. All
Okay.
right.
Thanks,
Take care.
Jody. Bye.
Talk to you later. Yeah. Bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. I really enjoyed that conversation, and you can see how so much of anything that you're doing is going to be helped by taking a 25-year vision or framework of what you're trying to accomplish. And if that's something that the business that you're in is not something that you want to be in for the next 25 years, or the market is not someone that you want to serve for the next 25 years, that helps guide your thinking as well. It kind of helps you think, what is the time frame that we're looking at here? You want to get as clear a picture of what the end result that you're looking to create is. And that gives you the really framework to think through the context of how do we set up this business to be successful, whatever that means to you. So I really enjoyed having that conversation. And if you want to continue the conversation here, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com. You can download a copy of the More Cheese Less Whiskers book. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just click on the Be a Guest link. Tell me a little bit about your business, and maybe we can get together and build a plan for your business. Good place to start thinking about the 8 profit activators is with our profit activator scorecard. And you can go online and take the profit activator scorecard at profitactivatorscore.com and see where the 8 profit activators are either growing or slowing your business right now. You'll get a lot of insight into where the opportunities are and what might be holding you back right now. So check that out at profitactivatorscore.com. That's it for this week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.